Welcome to Living in the Ozarks, celebrating the people, businesses, and culture that make the Ozarks great.
I'm Mark Steiner,
Yeah.
and I'm a product of, I'm a transplant to the Ozarks, so I can't claim it, but I've been here for now 22 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, came here by way of family.
Yeah.
And it was a great place to raise my family. And as a result, we moved here a year later. I moved here in 2004. My sister moved here with her family from South Jersey in 2005. And once we were together, my parents moved from Florida, the sunny beaches of Melbourne Beach, Florida. And they're still here. They're down in Ozark, and it's home.
Cool. Well, my thought when I was watching some of your stuff, and I've been keeping an eye on you for a while. I thought, that's so cool. I really want to go back, and I'm sure you've told this story a million times, but maybe not to the people that follow me. Like, how did you get? Let's talk about the beginning of whatever that was when you were doing acting, right?
Yeah.
And some of that stuff. What did that look like? And
Sure. Well, I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I moved to New York City to try to break into the movie business. I got a lucky break. And worked in the movie business for 10 years and had the most fun that a young man could have.
Now you said lucky break. What does that mean? What does that look like?
I applied in the New York Times. They would have in the classified section, they would advertise for au pairs, and I wanted to move into the city to become an actor, but I thought it's crazy to think. I didn't want to live with 5 other guys eating ramen and rice and beans like every actor has in their life.
Yeah.
That's how they start out. You work as a waiter, you go to class and you study, and then you hustle and you audition, and you do that for a long time until you get your break. I wanted to live on the Upper East Side and pursue. I thought I could, be an au pair, and because it was the closest way I thought I would be able to live on the Upper East Side and pursue an acting career. It's so ridiculous to repeat it, but that's what I had in my mind.
And you were how old?
I was 19.
Yeah.
And why I didn't really want to be an au pair, but I thought this could be fun. It could be interesting. I applied to one gig because it didn't specify even looking for a nanny or looking for a female. It just said looking for. It might have even said for a son. And so I thought, I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. And I got interviewed. Her name was Harriet Kanew. Harriet, Kanew. And the young son, he played chess. There was a number of things that thought I could play chess with him. I could do some other. And the interview went well. It seemed like I was actually being seriously considered. But she asked me why I was moving in too, and I said, "Well, ultimately, I really want to be an actor." And and so her husband, father of the child, he was a film editor, and spent most of his time in L.A. So at some point, I was told I wasn't being considered any longer.
Yeah.
But she said, she worked as a office manager on movie sets, production offices. She was an office manager, and she said, I'll help you if you want to try to break into the business.
Right. Right.
So she made a call and got me a PA job on a film.
Now, PA job, what is that?
Production assistant.
Okay.
So I was a PA on a film with Michael Keaton. It was the title when we were working on it was Skip Tracer, and I was just telling this story an hour ago. and I can't remember what it came out as. So we'll have to look that up. Look in the notes, folks.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton first. And she was close with him, and we spent time together. Like,
Yeah.
I was an office PA, so I was just running around and got to know Michael, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
But I took that lucky break, because it was really, I applied to a job as an au pair and got a job in the movie business and never looked back. Because I got my next job, as soon as that one ended, I started my next film, and it went like that for 10 plus years. So that's it. I bopped around doing PA work in various departments, and then on When Harry Met Sally, I shifted from being in the locations department. We scout locations, and then when we shoot at those locations, we sort of were the liaison. We're the manager of that location and the crew, and make everything run smoothly. That department oversees craft service. Craft service is the person who feeds the cast and crew on movie sets. And I had a culinary background from high school, and they wanted to let the craft service person go. And I raised my hand and said, I can do craft service. And that's what I did from that movie on. From When Harry Met Sally on, my job on movie sets was either as an actor or running my craft service company. And I had the best time of my life. It's my favorite business. It's my favorite industry. To this day, if I see a movie set, if I see cones lined up on a street, marking off where the trucks are going to roll in and there's going to be a movie, I'm like a little kid. I'm just like, yes, I can't wait, and I want to find out what production it is. It doesn't happen a lot here in Springfield, but
not yet.
When I go back, not yet. Yeah, if I can help it, I'm hoping that we get to that. But yeah, in New York and other metropolises and places that are more known for film, that's what I look for. I just love it. I love the movie business.
Cool. And then from there, where did you get into?
So during that time, I met my ex-wife, who was from Springfield, Missouri. We met in a church. Allison was going to Manhattan School of Music. She's a concert violinist. And we met, and I worked for, as I said, I lived in New York from 84 to 94.
Okay.
And in 94, we moved. I got married in 91. In 94, we moved to Connecticut to plant a church. Up around Yale, around New Haven. And we lived in Connecticut for 10 years. I subsequently got out of the movie business at that time, because to add a commute on top of what is a very long day to begin with, I thought I've given it my best shot.
Sure.
Sort of moving on now. I had some other things I was starting to do. And so I became an agent, basically. I became a booking agent, because through a couple iterations and evolution in my life as far as business goes, I found myself needing a job, and I started being a booking agent, booking big bands, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Dorsey's, Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy Dorsey, et cetera, jazz artists and old nostalgia artists. That was my sort of forte, and I booked them in performing arts centers. Went to work for a small boutique agency in New York City. Commuted back and forth from Connecticut to New York.
And you did that for 10 years?
I did that starting in around 94. It was after we moved to Connecticut. I had a brief stint where I was working for a friend of mine who's an architect in the city, Rick Cook plus Fox. He's amazing architect. Look at his work, extremely prolific and amazing. But that wasn't my gig. I love architecture, but working in an architecture firm was not for me. And so I left that and missed the business. And so I opened my own agency, and that was around 2001. And did that through 2011. But Gig Salad started we started conceptualizing Gig Salad around 2003. Had an iteration up there 2003, 2004. We moved here from Connecticut, moved to Springfield, and officially launched in '07, Gig Salad. And then I kept doing gigs.
So concept was there 2003-ish.
Yeah, and we had a beta up. We had a beta up that was from 2004, and it was working, but it wasn't until we hired our first full-time developer that everything changed. And this young, right out of college, right out of UNCW, because we have another office in Wilmington, North Carolina, and he started doing some work for Steve, for his Tetro design company, and he was doing some work for us, and but made Gig Salad what it is today. I mean, that was Locke. It was Locke and his genius.
Yeah, and in that first iteration of what it was, what has changed maybe from the beginning, or what was your vision of what it would look like?
Oh, it's a full. I mean, originally it was just going to be a directory. It was going to be like a Yellow Pages, place for entertainers, performers to list themselves on this directory, and then as event planners hopefully find that website in the same way they were finding Steiner talent, they could be in contact and they could work out their business together. Because my model was I was mostly booking celebrities, national touring acts, big acts, headliners, not local cover bands and wedding bands and balloon twisters and face painters and what people were when they were searching. My Steiner Talent website launched in 2003, and I started getting contacted through my website, through email, through phone calls of artists, what I refer to as local regional artists, looking for gigs or looking for representation. And at the same time, I was getting contacted by event planners looking for those same services. And it originally was supposed to be a directory. What's changed is it's a full-fledged marketplace. This is a platform where you can not just find who you're looking for, but book it on site and have a contract between the two parties. And so it definitely has evolved, and it's
they usually do.
They usually do if you're doing it right. I had a bright idea. I actually had a problem, and that was people. It was a problem / opportunity. These parties were looking for each other. It wasn't my business model, but there was something there. It was worth sort of scratching and figuring it out. And so my friend, the guy who designed my website, and I just started conceptualizing it, doing our due diligence, doing our research, discovering that there was a platform out there that existed that was sort of within that space. So we looked at them and sort of deciphered, okay, they're doing this, appears they're doing this right.
Yeah.
They could be doing that better. We could be doing, we can do better is what we got to. We thought we could do a lot better, and we could make it a lot prettier. Steve is a designer. He's got a great eye.
Yeah.
And so off we went in a very scrappy, bootstrapped sort of fashion of, we're still running our businesses. We have young families, but we had time. We made time for this thing, nights and weekends, and that's what was happening over those stages. During that time, I did a major move. A year later, Steve did a major move from Rhode Island to North Carolina. So all along, we just kept believing in it, building it, doing what we could with it, with very little financing. Very little capital. We didn't have to invest very much in it at all, or we chose not to.
Right.
And Steve did a very nice exit back in 22. We bought him out. Me and Locke did. And here we are. We're number one in that space. As far as event marketplaces go, we're the biggest.
Yeah,
we're the best. We're all over U.S. and Canada.
I was going to ask what's your biggest demographic of?
Yeah, it's the major markets. So New York, L.A., Chicago, Toronto, but small town USA as well. We're everywhere. Every place there's a zip code.
And some in Canada as well, you said?
Yeah, all over Canada.
That's funny.
Yep, I'll be going up to Toronto in August.
Yeah, because I think I've seen some maybe podcasts or some other stuff with you.
Yes.
Some other people on it.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Cool.
Our one of our newest team members is a friend and colleague from another business that we used to partner and collaborate with on certain promotions. And he's our VP of marketing and business development, and he's from Montreal, so he's up there. Yeah. Originally, it was just, hey, come build the Canadian business. I want it's just a fraction of our overall business. And there's a lot of opportunity there, we think, and said focus on that, but at the same time, you're doing marketing, so business has done really well since Dave's joined us.
And that was when
he joined last year. Yeah, just last year. Wow. Yeah, we're about a year in or so. He started doing some part-time work, and then we hired him full-time in late summer.
And you guys have total number of employees?
20.
20.
Yeah, right around 20. Including.
And the bulk of those are?
We have 10 here, 10 in Springfield, 5 or so in Wilmington, and remote. We have Chicago, Montreal, Chicago, Brooklyn, Tennessee, Michigan. I think that's it. Yeah, 5 or 6 remotes. Yeah.
And they do?
Those are designer UI person in Chicago.
Okay.
Nicole. As I mentioned, Dave Cool is in Montreal, marketing and dev. Head of VP of product is Brooklyn, John Bacon. He's from North Carolina. He's been up there for a long time. Tennessee, outside of Nashville, is Mark B, and he's in the dev side. And Michigan, we have a dev guy, another coder, developer up there.
Yeah.
Well, it's
cool.
good.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
And gosh, you've been doing this for almost 20 years now then. So that's, actually it's technically been more than 20.
It's been 23 years. Yeah, I'll take every minute of it. When I talk about it and somebody tells me I'm an overnight success, I'll be like, you have no idea. It's been a long time. It's been an amazing. I kept doing Steiner Talent while everything we did at Gig Salad went back into Gig Salad. We were building the company. When we launched, we bought a building at the corner of Booneville and Chestnut. And because I was working out of my home at the time, Steve was working out of his home, had a couple people were around the kitchen table. All of a sudden, when we launched, it was like, okay, it's going fast. We're going to need more people. And so we bought this place at the corner of Booneville and Chestnut and have been growing ever since.
You absorbed Steiner
Town. I thank you.
Yeah.
We launched in 2007, and I kept running Steiner Talent. That was my bread and butter. Everything else went back into the business. So renovating this building, hiring people, building the infrastructure of Gig Salad. And so it wasn't until 2011, July of 11, Steve and I said, we can make our living doing Gig Salad now. And Gig Salad absorbed Steiner Talent because it was close in the model. We still were in a booking agency division. And then a month later, in August of 11, Steve shuttered the doors of Tetra Design and focused entirely on Gig Salad. So, he had 11 years doing just Gig Salad, and now he's retired.
Yeah. What competition do you have out there? Is there?
I mean, there's still that original company. It was originally Gig Masters, and then it was bought out by the XO Group, the Knot, which is a wedding-centric business, and they They had invested some into Gigmasters and then later bought them out in 2015. They're now the Bash. That would be as close as a direct competitor, same business model. Then there's others. There's other ancillary companies that you can book services through them, like home services, but they also do some event services. And then just in social media, TikTok, Facebook, these are places, other platforms, Google, just it's a unique space. So we have a lot of competition, but just a few entities that are probably the biggest. But we surpassed them. We made some choices early on about how we were going to, we went to a freemium business model. We offered a free option in addition to a paid membership. And that was a big deal. We added other events service providers. So originally it was just those who do what they do as performers on a stage with a microphone. Entertainers, performers, speakers. We added photographers, bartenders, the other ancillary services.
Yeah, I noticed some different services on there. Yeah, that's interesting.
So that was a good move for us. And yeah.
Why? Where did the name come from?
That was Steve, and it was a gig. A gig is a job, and a mixture of gigs. A whole salad of gigs you could have from Gig Salad.
Yeah, nice. I love it.
Yes.
It's a great name. I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We figured people will either immediately get it and know, or they won't. But hopefully it's provocative enough.
What would you like on your salad? I mean, it's different than what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Different than what Sally wants and everything.
Different tastes for different folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's made people look it up. If they don't know, let me go see what this thing is, and you found us. But it may very well been why I had never thought of this before, but we've always had really strong SEO, and I'm just wondering how often it was because people, what was that? Gig Salad? And they all of a sudden
it's a pattern interrupt. Just the name itself is a pattern interrupt. So they're like, wait a minute, what the heck is this?
That's exactly. Right. Yeah. So. It was dumb luck, but why Google? Why Amazon? Why anything?
Yeah, exactly. You're the right place, the right time.
That's right.
And you're also in alignment with the things that you do in a way that other people are not. You're blue ocean kind of territory, right?
Yes.
And when you're there, you just happen to roll in and let's go.
That's it.
What about mentors that you had or anybody that you feel like helped you along the way, along the path? That anybody special that stands out?
I want to take this opportunity to say that I've been really intrigued more than ever by Johnny Morris. I've met the man maybe once. I handshake. So it would be disingenuous to say he's a mentor. However, I just recently, I just had childhood friends from out of town. One guy I've known since third grade, and I'm 60 years old. So a guy I've known for 53 years. Another friend of ours from high school. Didn't know him until high school. And they were just in town last week, and we went to Big Cedar. My one friend came into town. He had a day of business in Hollister. So Tim and I went to Big Cedar, and we went to the museum that's a part of Big Cedar.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
Oh yeah.
That alone is such a gem, and it took doing the touristy thing for me to discover it. And I've been to Big Cedar before, but I didn't do the museum. And I was so enthralled. It was so edifying and educational. And,
sure, absolutely.
And then about a month ago, I went to the aquarium for the first time in a long time since it opened. And again, I was absolutely amazed at how, first off, it was just such a wonderful experience. I love water. I love fish. I love, it was so peaceful, and it's right here, voted every year number one in the country.
Yeah.
And so from afar, I've looked at all the things that Johnny Morris has created, and he, to me, is the modern day Walt Disney. I don't think there's anybody like him in the country. Like, for what he's created, from here to Branson, all the amazing, wonderful things in between, the vision that he has and what he's accomplished to go from selling fish and lures in the back of a liquor store to this today is, so from afar, what does he do? How does he do it? Trying to piece all that together, to be an innovator, to be an inventor, to be a visionary.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things. I've gotten a lot of inspiration from him and other amazing brands and businesses that are here, like industry leaders. You have O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yeah.
And I was neighbors with the O'Reillys when we first moved here, and that's another thing. There's a certain humbleness about, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing, if it's a Springfield thing, if it's just this community, but the industry, the business leaders, the ones that I admire the most, the ones that clearly are experiencing some of the most amazing success that one can experience, are also tend to be very quiet, live sort of they're not mild or meek by any means, but there's a humility or a humbleness or it's not flashy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I agree.
All of that's not where, everything where I moved from, it's New Jersey, it's New York, it's Connecticut, that tri-state area, everything's big, everything's grandiose, everything's about, the cars you're driving and this and that. And I don't like that. I like this sort of living.
Yeah, and I've got a group that meets every Monday, and we were coming out of Longhorn Grill over off Glenstone.
Yep.
Jack Stack's there, opening the door.
Yep.
As like 10 of us came out, and it's that kind of
exactly. Yeah, that kind of Jack is another great. Yeah, it's Riley's. It's Robert Lowe. It's there's just a Midwest. Yep. I just admire it, and I've learned a lot from that experience from the moment I moved here, and I appreciate it. I do appreciate that, and I've been wanting to. I'm doing more content, as you know. And
yeah.
I told Megan I want to talk more about the Johnny Morris thing, because.
And I don't think he has a book, does he?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. I don't know that it's been done, but it certainly should be. I wish I was a better writer, because I'd love to dig in and learn more. But of all the things that he's done and touched, I'm doing more things now. In addition to Gig Salad, I'm aspiring for more. I'm doing things outside of Gig Salad, and I hope that I can be, that the things that I'm imagining and want to create and do will come with equal, success and
that's great. I think. Any other mentors or anybody that maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I think my father, from a business standpoint, I never considered myself a businessman or ever even aspired to want to be a businessman. That's not. I stumbled into being an entrepreneur, I think.
It's often ways it happens.
Yes, and I learned a lot from my father to this day. My mother. This is the first time I'm saying this. My mother gave me advice. I was talking about something that was going on in the business. I said, "What do you think about this, Mom?" And she was like Yoda. She's 86 years old, and
Yeah.
I've not done this a lot. I've not asked my parents for advice, especially at this age and stage. But this particular thing was, I just felt like I needed some other thoughts, and I'm telling you, she transformed before my eyes, and it was like this Zen, and gave me. She said, "Well, I wish I could repeat it the way she said it. It was like, I think you should give it a beat, or you should sit on that for a moment. Let it flow. Let it sort of you don't have to do anything right now."
Yeah.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened. I let it go, and it took care of itself. So my parents, Dad's 87, Mom's 86, and they'll be married 68 years this year. Everything about their lives to me is admirable and worthy of imitation. And but I'm also.
How many siblings?
I'm adopted.
Okay.
So this is my adopted parents. My parents. I was adopted at birth. So was my sister. But then I found my biological mother when I was 25, and I have 4 half siblings on my mother's paternal side and maternal side, and my paternal side. I know I have 2 half siblings there, but I don't know them. And I don't know if they know I exist, but I know they exist, and but yeah, I have a great relationship, a whole new family that's evolved over even the past 5 or 6 years has really become even deeper and stronger and closer, which has been nice. So I have lots of family, lots of cousins, and
family's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes less great than friends.
That could
sometimes.
be. Sometimes
not to undercut family.
No. Sometimes you have to create your own family. You make your family.
Or it happens.
Or it happens naturally. That's right. Yeah. But I've been very fortunate. I have an amazing family. All of them. Cool. Every one of them.
Anything in the music industry that special? Anybody mentor-wise special?
I have.
Really?
Yeah, I have. There was a lot of. I gravitated towards actors. Mm-hmm. So when I'm in and around performers, performing artists, that's tends to be where I've gone. And so I've had a lot of when you're feeding someone, there can be a natural tendency to get close with that person.
Sure.
And so over a film shoot, being the person that's getting a particular coffee drink or something special, and being the one that delivers that and serves, I've been very lucky to have lots of great artists over the years. I just talked about Gene Wilder. Working with him, and that was a really special time. Worked with Joe Pesci twice, and he was wonderful. Robert De Niro, lots of people these are brushes. I don't have their telephone number.
Yeah.
And you work together, and often it ends and it's over, but there can be a really special bond that happens when you're creating together, when you're doing art together.
Sure, there's an intimacy involved.
There's an intimacy to all that, and so that's the book I want to write. My brushes with greatness might have been one sentence, might have been one pat on the back, might have been one little gift at the end of a film that said, "Thank you, you did good work. Appreciate your part in it all." Every one of those have touched me. So I've had lots of mentors in that way. Same in the music business. Mm-hmm. I think, like you're curious, Dustin, and I know that was the impetus for you doing a podcast, and I am too. I'm just interested in I'm interested in people, and they don't have to be. It's not just the celebrities. I'm just interested in learning people's stories.
Yeah.
Because they're all interesting.
Oh, absolutely. And to me, it's like I don't need to. Not everybody is adept at telling their own story.
Right.
And so let's get together and let's have a conversation, and it's going to come out.
That's it.
Because I'm going to, elicit that as we're just conversing, and I'm like, I'm curious about this and this and this, and it's going to come all out.
Yep.
And I think that's what I love about it. And I love business. I love the Ozarks. I love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not?
Yeah. And you're from here, right?
I'm from here. Yeah. Born and raised
in Springfield.
Springfield. I attended Glendale High School. Graduated in '92.
In 92.
92.
Okay. Yeah, you're younger than me.
Yeah.
By 8. But yeah,
just a little.
Allison went there. Her younger brother went there.
Yeah.
But I think he was still a little younger than you. Got it. Yeah. Well, it's a great place. We raised our kids here. My daughter was 6 or so, about to turn 6 when we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Luke was 2.5 when we moved here. And as I said, they got my family moved here, and so my kids grew up with both sets of grandparents, and
yeah, that's awesome.
In a very bucolic, beautiful, low cost of living place. It
is great,
rich with history and rich with people,
and
it was again luck that I built a business here. And not where my competitor was in Connecticut. Just cost of living alone, what it takes to start and run a business between here and Fairfield County, Connecticut, night and day. And so I know that was just another break. It was just a lucky break.
Yeah.
In my path, in my story.
Sometimes that's the way it works, though. I mean,
totally.
It's the best. It's the best stories.
No doubt. Yeah, you can't take credit for it. It keeps you humble. Like, listen, so much of what happens in our lives is outside of us.
You watch the little stories, whether it's Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, driving into, or not even that. It's driving into a little town by accident,
right?
And then he winds up falling in love with it, or whatever the story
That's right.
is. But that stuff really happens
for sure.
And I think it's great. I think the area is great. And we talk about movies. So have you seen my interview with Ken Childers? Do you know Ken Childers?
Oh, I do know Ken, and I haven't seen that yet. When was that
out? Gosh, it was he was a couple months back.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, and then I did one.
Is he
with
talking about
Sato?
The film
Sato 48.
Yeah.
Of course, they've got screenings starting tonight.
Okay.
I'll be at the Moxie for that tonight and tomorrow, and then also at College Station on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday too. They're doing it. And then Saturday, we've got the Galois. I'll be there as well.
Okay.
Filming that event and interviewing people as they are done and as
wonderful.
they win.
Oh, great.
So
great.
It'll be a good time.
Are you a film connoisseur? Buff? Not particularly?
I wouldn't call I've always been artsy fartsy kind of person.
Right.
I enjoy the arts. I wouldn't consider myself to be massively talented in that regard, but I enjoy that.
You appreciate it.
I do.
Good
I
movie.
Have appreciation for it.
Well, good.
I'm not always. I'm kind of a romantic at heart, so for me, that's usually my top choice. But sometimes I'll go for an action and things like that. But
me, I just want to feel good. Yeah, I feel.
But
good
I think it's cool to be able to have that opportunity here in Springfield.
Oh,
and I know when in talking to Jeff and Jaw, they're like, well, Springfield was the Ozark Jubilee.
That's right.
That talk about history.
Absolutely.
And it all kind of ties together.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there was New York, there was LA, and then there was Springfield.
That's right.
And they're like, we wanted to just bring it back to Springfield. So
before there was
they're
Nashville.
the same way. So Jeff was here, moved to New York, and then came back.
Yep.
And same thing. I don't know if you know them very well or not, but
which ones?
Jeff Klinkenbeard and
yes.
Okay.
I have. Yeah. I heard Jeff speak with the Missouri Film Alliance a while back.
Yeah. They're really great guys, and Jeff is high energy.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I got that through telling his stories.
Jaw is much more reserved, and kind of steady, but there's a lot of wheels turning. You can see them turning,
Right.
which is usually the case. Whereas me, I'm an open book. I'm like, yeah, what you see is what you get.
Right. That's it.
Most of the time.
That's
There's
it.
a little bit that I hold back, but
You and I met
Toastmasters.
at the Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you still doing anything with Toastmasters?
Oh, for sure.
You are?
For sure.
Oh, good for you.
For sure.
The same chapter, the same group? Or?
It is. It is. We've moved. We've changed venues. So now we're down at Campbell Library Center.
Oh.
We get together there. And yeah,
once a week?
It's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. So same days on the Tuesday at lunch, 12 to 1.
Are any of the same people part of it?
No. No, we've got all new, different people.
Good for you.
We've got an artist that actually, he's Joshua Algers. He does photography, and then what he'll do is he'll go back and he'll make a portrait that's full, a nice size portrait, painted, so oil painting.
Oh.
Actually, he was the first one I interviewed.
And does he do that while he's speaking? Are you saying?
No.
Okay.
No, but that's what he does, and I actually interviewed him on my podcast.
Oh, I
as well.
see.
But yeah, he is in Toastmasters, and he's a rather good speaker. Although he's modest about it. Everybody that can do a good job is usually modest and like, oh well, I'm not near as good as. But I think that's normal for people. They always think I'm not a very good speaker.
Yeah. Have you been doing public speaking in terms of keynotes and?
None of that stuff. I've
certainly helped you.
I've been lifting weights, right?
Yeah, you're doing the
That's
reps.
really all it is. It's just doing.
No,
the
I
reps.
think it's great. Good
and
for
I think
you.
it's just like anything, though. But doing things like this also help
for sure.
because you have to be. It's that impromptu speaking.
That's it.
Right.
Yep.
And anyhow, so yeah, I'm still very much involved and enjoy the heck out of it. And
Yeah, great.
we've got such a diverse group of people that attend, still, but different faces.
Okay.
Different faces for sure.
Okay.
So yeah.
It was a good experience for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think it's the cool thing that I enjoy is, I'm a connector.
Yes, you are.
I love to be able to visit with people, learn about them, and putting two people together, kind of like what you do, really. I mean, right? You've got people that need actors or staff or people, and then you're connecting them.
That's right.
In your own way.
That's right.
And I do that as well with everybody that I meet or come across.
Yes.
And I think it's cool though when people come into Toastmasters to see their growth and how much more they can achieve. And what they don't realize is like they don't see it, right? They're so close to it until they do. And they have people come up and they're like, oh, you did a great job.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. So I love to see that growth.
Yeah, I do too.
That little bit of growth
That's
with
it.
everybody. And I'm sure it's the same way in every industry. But I mean, I'm certainly that way in business. It's like I want to go and visit with people and then circle back around and do a refill on that. The whole way that this came about for me is I would go to 1 Million Cups.
Yeah.
And I would see all the entrepreneurs and get together with them and hear all the collaborative discussions that would occur. And I'm like, oh, this is exciting. And I thought, well, if you've never been, have you ever been? So you see,
I haven't. Is it still?
you'll see. Oh yeah.
Right?
So you'll see 9-minute presentation followed by 20 minutes of Q&A from the audience, and it could be a concept or it could be full blown. But usually it's less than 5 years old, and they'll get up and they'll do their thing, and they'll sit down after the 30 minutes is up. But the thing is I always felt like I'd like to be able to go a little deeper because some of those, you're like, well,
Yeah.
it's only 9 minutes. I mean, yes, you did get
Sure.
questions from the audience, but you don't necessarily get to do a deep dive.
That's it.
And that for me, I was like, that's where there's a little bit of a gap, and I felt like that was a gap that I could fill. And I came up with this idea. I mean, it was 5+. It was probably more like 7 years ago that I was like, I need to do this. And then I just kept hawing around and not doing it. And finally, I'm like, you know what? We're doing this.
When was
Not
your
looking
launch?
back.
When did you?
I mean, December. It was the end of December, the 27th of December. That was it. I'm like, I'm not looking back.
Okay. So
Yeah.
So just
just
6 months in.
Just 6 months
How many
in.
episodes? What number is this?
I'm at 15, I think, officially, but I usually have 2 in the queue.
Yeah.
1 to 2 in the queue. And I've done some co-host with a few guys.
Right.
Because they've got a good connection. Like
Sure.
we did one with Jeremy Wells for the Ozarks Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
We did that one. That was because Tristan had a connection with that. And we've got some other ones we're going to be doing too that are, again, we're going to co-host.
Yeah.
And that's fun. I just want to be able to highlight all the great things that there are in the Ozarks. I think there's plenty of it. I've got some people that are more historic, or they have more focus on the history of the Ozarks, and I think that's cool too.
Yeah, I do too.
Like Richard Crabtree,
Yes.
he always posts so many, and I'm like, I just want to meet with him and talk with him about the coolest stories that he has, because I know they're out there, and it's like you see these pictures and you're like, oh, this is fantastic.
Right.
I wish we had more than just the pictures.
Yes.
But 30, 40 years from now, we will have that, right?
That's right.
I mean, hopefully. But anyway, yeah. I digress a little bit.
Not at all.
But so with me, I always like to focus on 2 gratitude. Like what are some of the gratitudes maybe that you have early in the business, early in Gig Salad?
Yeah. Well, so much. My partnership alone, just I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Steve and his work. Each person that's been on the team ever, there's been, whether it worked out or not, I've learned and grown from it all. I'm grateful for. I've learned to be grateful for everything. I've not always been that way. I've been, there was a time in my life where I struggled with, sadness, depression, not feeling like a victim, but definitely coming at life. I've known highs and I've known lows.
Sure.
And I decided, it was shortly after I moved here. It was when we moved here. I felt like we were leaving an old life. It wasn't a horrible life, but it had good parts and bad parts, like life does, right? But up until that point in my life, I had been struggling with being sometimes grateful, sometimes not seeing the forest through the trees, sometimes feeling stuck. And I made a mental decision that I am changing my environment. I'm going to change my mindset. It was kind of like a Dr. Wayne Dyer, change your mind, change your life.
Yeah.
That, lead with, fake it till you make it.
Sure.
And I just decided I'm going to be positive. I know what it's like, I know what it's like to be high and be manic and be ambitious and big, and I know what it's like to be low, and I prefer, if it's one or the other, I'm going to be high. Yeah. I'm going to be big. But mostly I was going to just be positive. I was going to be optimistic.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to focus on the little things. I wasn't going to have regrets. I wasn't going to have resentment. I wasn't going to live in unforgiveness. It was a complete mind shift of being grateful and having gratitude for all things, because everything got me to right here.
Yeah.
And if I'm living in this space, be here now, being present, that is all I can control. Like, all I can do is right now. And if I've made mistakes in the past, learn from the mistakes and move on.
Right.
If I'm thinking about the future, don't fret about it too much, and don't you can have visions and you can have goals and you can have hopes, but there's no way of knowing. You can work towards things, but you just don't know. All you've got is here and now, and here and now I'm choosing to be grateful for everything. And it made my life better.
I think if the world in general looked through the gratitude lens, I think life would be completely
absolutely
different.
Yeah.
And the great thing too is that, people don't realize that you can change your mindset to that of gratitude and become more positive.
Yep.
Like it's
I did
completely possible.
I did it.
Yeah. And so when you have somebody like you that says that, I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah.
I've read that. I've always I tend to be on the optimistic side anyway. But for somebody who's not been there, I mean, it's not to say that I'm exempt from having those down moments and you're like, oh. Sure. But in those moments, you really have to focus on the gratitude.
Right. And that's what I say. It's not. It's a magic. It's a magic bullet. It's a magic potion in some way of choosing that life. It doesn't mean that you're devoid of challenges and pain and suffering. That's still a part of life. But you can look at even those moments and put just a little twist on it and say, how am I going to be present right now? And how am I going to cope? How am I going to deal? How am I going to process this thing? Somebody's sick. Okay, what can I do? Am I going to sit here and worry about it? The first question to ask is, what can I do something? If you can't do anything, if you can't actually do anything, then you need to let go of the worry.
Yeah.
If you can do something, then do that thing. Yeah. If there's things that you can proactively do, but the one thing that you can control is you can control your thought. You can control how you receive it and what you put out. And I have learned, first off, turning off media and turning off things that are built around negativity.
Yeah.
And promoting pain and suffering and scare and I avoid it.
Scarcity mentality.
All of that. Yeah. And I'm going to be up. It's not Pollyannic. It's not like, oh, I'm living in a space of nirvana, but I am living in a place of gratitude, and for all of the things that have happened in my past and whatever, it's made me better. And
I was going to ask, when you flipped that switch, how did it change maybe your vision and where you were actually going, or how fast you got there, the speed with which?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's like for Gig Salad, how it affected me professionally was that I realized that the cream rises to the top, and that can take time. That slow and steady wins the race. Patience, and I wasn't looking for instant gratification. In my youth and in my immaturity, that was the case. I wanted things and I wanted it now. I wanted it fast. Yeah. If I wasn't good at something right away, I didn't have the patience or the wherewithal to practice. And I walked away from lots of things that I thought were interests, but because I wasn't good at them right away, I gave up. And there's a certain sadness to that.
Sure.
A certain sadness to that. But again, the gratitude switch is I am grateful for the things that I've tried. I'm grateful for the things that piqued my interest. And I have an appreciation today of those who are good at things that I was interested in, because I know what it took. Either one, they were just extremely blessed to be born with a certain innate talent that they had to also hone and work on to make what it was. But I know that so often it takes hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and I just admire those that have done that in their lives. And so I'm grateful, and I'm happy, and I'm content and that's another thing. What with gratitude comes, being content, saying, right now, I have enough, and I do. I will always have enough. It's another. It's a phrase. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life for me now that I've come to accept and believe that I will always have enough, and I believe it's divine. I believe that
Sure.
I believe in God, and I believe that so much of my life is guided by my faith and how I do it. And how I do it is I believe that whatever I'm meant to have, I will have, and that if I want more, I better be a good steward of what I've already got. And I think then I might be given more, and I better be a good steward with that. Yeah. And I never want more than enough. I don't want. I only want to have what. I want to be a good person. I want to. Right. I want to be a kind person. I want to be a generous person. I want to be a person of humility and humbleness, and I think very often when we get too much. We lose sight of all that. It takes, we become less human, and we just become about consumption and having more, and greed gets in. Yeah. And selfishness. And
so what do you do? What do you do to keep yourself humble? What do you do to keep yourself grounded?
Yeah.
In those moments of
well,
you're really succeeding. And you're doing fantastic, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
How do you anchor down now?
Well, thank God first, and say thank you for just blessing me with an idea, and then helping me formulate it and create a team and a culture around me, and then realizing that every single bit of what I've got has come with the help of others. Yeah. Gig Salad doesn't exist without my co-founder, without my partner. Without the people that are working on it day in, day out, and often, mostly doing the heavy lifting. Yeah. So it really just, when one reflects, and that's another thing. My days, I try to start with prayer and meditation and just being present, grounding, going out into the earth and putting my feet on the ground first thing in the morning and looking at the stars and nature. And that's back to Johnny Morris. Appreciating nature in a different way. That's another thing, just getting out. And so those are some of my practices.
You're letting the beat, right? You're letting the beat happen.
That's exactly
and
right.
You're just listening.
Yep. It's being quiet and letting the senses, it's being quiet, it's breathing. Yeah, those things.
Now, are you consider are you the visionary of Gig Salad, or do you?
Yeah, and I think there's I am. If I had anything, it was a big idea, and a cheerleader that said, "Come on, this is where we're going. This is what I want this to be," and and get people to buy into that. Yeah. And my enthusiasm, my ambition, my vision for wanting to create something big and just the something amazing. Lost for word there, but that's me. Yeah,
well, I think likely
a visionary. I'd be
most visionaries tend to, or CEOs want to see their whole team succeed, not just it's
and how. That's it, and that means letting go and being a good starting with delegation, and then and not being a micromanager, and not being a helicopter parent or boss.
It translates completely.
Yes, exactly, and trusting that you hired well, and that there are a lot of other smart people in the room, and so let them do their thing. Let them explore, let them discover, let them experiment. And that's what we've done. And so That's why I hesitate to say I'm not the only visionary. There's a lot of other visions that are a part of this, and those who have a different level of expertise or knowledge, and especially on the tech side, I just have an amazing team, and the John Bacon and Locke Bircher and all of them. I can name everybody on the team. They all have. Everyone comes with ideas, and we hear them and we do them. Everybody's contributed. So that's that. Any person that's
I think that's
got a humble bone in their body, if they're not seeing that, then
I think that's the difference between a great CEO and a great leader in a corporation or a business. Is are you an open door, a safe place for your employees to come back and say, hey, what about this? What about this? Because they have a different perspective than you do. They're in a different place. They're looking at different stuff all the time, and they're like, man, we could probably tweak this and make this more efficient or get better results or whatever it is.
Right.
And if you're there as their boss or their leader, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that, and let's see how that goes.
Right.
It's just like a micro business within your own bigger business.
That's right.
And I think
pride, arrogance, there's no place for it.
Right.
What are you trying to do by the end of the day? What do you hope what are you trying to accomplish? Or you want your name on the sign? Do you want to say it started here, it ended here, it was me? I don't see the point in that.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, sometimes it comes down to, just like with anything in life, it's a legacy factor. Like let's pass that on to the next generation, whether it's my own children or it's the people who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this company.
Right. Yeah. I guess I think about legacy and to the extent of, with my children, what do I want to leave them?
Yeah.
I hope that I left them a great, a good example of being a father, of being a man, of being a person. That's it. If there's some inheritance, okay. But in terms of legacy, we're missed. We're going to be forgotten about.
Would you rather me give you some fish, or would you rather teach me you to fish?
That's right. That's it. And I think I think I've done that. Now I want to show them, hopefully, how to age gracefully, how to go into your twilight years and then old age, because I'm a long way from that. How to?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, we don't have to worry about that. That's a while.
Yeah, so that's my legacy as far as work goes. I hope that Geek Salad is around for another 40 years and then some, and that there's folks on the team that started when they were 20 and they're retiring there. That's the legacy.
What's next? What's down the pipeline that you're willing to share with us?
We've got a building across the street that we've acquired, and we're going to turn it into a really cool space, an event space / place for makers and creators. And
nice.
And there'll be a kitchen component to this, a ghost kitchen / commercial kitchen. There'll be hopefully a venue, place for performers that I can bring in, speakers. That's one. I've got a social gaming app that I'm still plugging away at. That should be a lot of fun. It's based on the Rushmore sort of concept. If you ever heard that.
Don't even know that.
No? Has everybody ever said to you, what's your Rushmore of something? I.e., what would be the 4 names or characters that you would put on Mount Rushmore of any topic, subject? Could even be the presidents. Are those the right 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore? Kind of thing. Could be anybody. It comes up a lot in pop culture and sports and athletes. I've been working on something for a little while that I'm kind of excited about with that. And then, I'm as I said, I'm trying to be an actor again. and I'm.
Didn't I see something that
working,
you're doing something where you're learning?
I'm doing Mark Learns. Yep, I do. I'm doing lots of content. I mean, the thing I think I'm most excited about is my website, thinkupon.com. I launched on my birthday, March 10th, my 60th birthday. So I'm doing a lot of blogging, a lot of content, videos. It is my artistic. It's where I'm most artistically expressing myself these days, through words and thoughts and ideas and. Just
I think the moment that we stop learning and growing, we might as well just be like, bury me.
Well, amen to that. I have no interest in it. Yeah, I am doing.
I'm a lifetime learner too. I'm like I always want to be learning.
Yeah.
Growing. What's new? What's next?
Yeah. Who's
stretching?
Yeah. I'm more curious than I've ever been, and I'm loving every minute of it. Yeah. And I'm really getting into the music. I'm listening to music like I've never listened to music before. I'm watching movies so intently. Reading books. Sometimes I'll read books more than once. Sometimes just for straight, something that is entertaining.
Yeah. Then
to go back and reread for more learning this round. I want something more edifying this time. And I'm so between my work and the things I enjoy, my travel. I'm having a great time, so I'm not slowing down, and I'm learning and doing more than I ever have.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for listening to Living in the Ozarks. If you know somebody with a great story, somebody we need to sit down with, send them our way at livingintheozarks.com. We'd love to meet with them.